This
Yeah,
conference will now be recorded.
I did. I've gone through the Scrum guide,
Uh-huh.
and I have like few questions.
Sure.
So when a product owner maintains the product backlog,
Uh-huh.
so could you please explain me like in a practical way, like what does the product backlog exactly has?
So, okay. See, the product backlog can have anything. Okay. See, you will have a lot more of idea about what a product backlog will have when we do this section called. Uh, See, I told you right. There are 11 components in Scrum basically.
Yeah.
Okay, one is the roles, then the events, and then you have the artifacts. Okay, so
Yeah.
here you have like a huge section called product backlog, where I'm going to tell you what exactly is it all about, what kind of things that you have, and how the product owner orders it, and things like that. But what I can tell you in a nutshell is that, see, when you have a product, okay, the product backlog ultimately is ordered in multiple ways. Okay, like let's say that you want some feature to get rolled out first, like some login or register feature.
Okay.
Then some, like we took Amazon example, right? Then one part of the website to be released first. So those things will always be on the top of the priority when it's ordered. Okay, so things like which they want to experiment later, but they have as an innovative idea, but they don't have the budget for it, or they don't have enough number of people for it, and all will go down. So a product backlog can have anything and everything. Your task, like your day-to-day task that, like like let's say that the team wants to handle performance, then that will be there. Your requirements will be there. Your bugs will be there. Okay, like
Okay.
when the website goes to production and user says that something is not working, so that gets logged as a bug, right?
Yeah.
So that, yeah. So anything and everything is a part of the product backlog. So essentially, to say in a nutshell, anything that you're doing in the product, okay, can be viewed transparently in the product backlog.
Okay,
Okay,
but is
whatever
that
you do.
not part of sprint? I mean, whatever is in the backlog. I mean, they have to move it to the current sprint, right?
Yeah, but let's say that you have 250 items. You
Okay.
cannot move all the 250 items into a sprint backlog, right? So you will like break it. You will decide that you want login register feature for this sprint. So let's say
Okay.
that
Yeah.
there is one product backlog item that you have created called register using a Google account.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that is product backlog item one. That is on the top of the list. The second one is register using fingerprint. Or sorry, maybe let's say that register using some LinkedIn.
Okay.
Okay, so you have different features. Then you have the third feature like login using your fingerprints, login using uh, email address. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so you can't finish like all of that in 2 or 3. I mean, sorry, within like a certain frame. Okay, within a time frame. So then, like after the login and the registration, let's say that you have like other things like create a page for Amazon Pay, create a page for something. I'm just giving you things that I can think of top of my mind. So
Okay.
you have like so many pages. All of them cannot be completed within a sprint, right?
Mm-hmm.
It cannot practically happen. So that is
Yeah.
something that is going to take over time, and product will keep evolving.
Mm-hmm.
Suddenly, like you will have a cool idea and you would want to add that to the product backlog. So whatever comes to the sprint backlog is something that you do as a part of that sprint.
Okay.
Okay. So when we see the artifacts, when we read through the artifacts, I'll clearly tell you that so the sprint planning, whatever exercise that whatever we are going to cover as a part of today's session, that will give you an idea into what you will do in the sprint, what you will get into the sprint backlog and things like that. See,
Okay.
maybe now you might have some open-ended questions, but once we
Mm-hmm.
go down the lane, once we finish all this, then it'll be very clear for you.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
So any other question? Please shoot.
So basically, our optimal development team size means excluding product owner and scrum master. You said
No,
around five should be good, right?
no. Include. See, usually the development team size would be 3 to 9. Yeah,
Okay.
optimally. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that 9 is also like, see, let's say that you have a very complicated product. Okay. So you need one architect. You will probably need 3 developers or 4 developers who
Yeah.
can code, then two people to test because you need everything to be done very fast. So stuff like that, you will have like 9 people. So see, it's nothing about the right or wrong.
Mm-hmm.
See, practically, it is very difficult for you to have less than 3 people
Right.
because when you have less than 3 people, what can you do? You at least need 1 or 2 people who can code. Okay, one
Yeah.
or two people who can test. Okay, so you obviously cannot have less than 3. It becomes too less of a size. It is the same case with more than 9. Then the team becomes too big.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is why see, it is not mandated by Scrum that it cannot be less than 3 or it cannot be more than 9. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
they just say that with the experience that both Jeff and Ken carry over the years of seeing the industry, they feel that this is the right kind of uh, team size, or they feel that this is the most optimal team size for the simple reason that if it becomes too much, then it becomes very difficult for them to handle. I mean, for
Yeah.
anyone to handle. The coordination become between them it'll become very difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else?
That's all for now, my friend.
Okay, great. So today we are going to see about Scrum events. Okay. So so tell me one thing.
Okay.
Okay. I have a question before we start. So do you think that sprint is also an event?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So you're right. So a lot of people have a lot of people who have worked in Scrum teams.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, always have this doubt whether sprint is also a part of the uh, Scrum. Sorry, is also a part of the event
Mm-hmm.
because if you see the Scrum guide, you will not have something explicitly called out for a sprint. Okay, I mean you will not explicitly call out like sprint is a Scrum event, whereas you would have called out everywhere else. So that is the reason why I wanted to check with you. A lot of people have asked me that question. So I
Maitri,
just want
I actually have one more question. Sorry to interrupt you.
sure. No
Uh,
problem.
so most of the companies when they follow Scrum, do they follow Agile methodology or waterfall methodology?
Scrum itself is following agile ways of working, right?
Oh, okay, okay,
So there is no point in following Scrum if you don't have agile ways of working. See, when you when you do Scrum implementation, you automatically have agile ways of working, right?
yeah,
Think
okay,
about
yeah.
it because you frequently release your product to production, you
Mm-hmm.
frequently get response from the customer, you create products that don't take a lot of time to develop, you do it at a very short pace, right? So
Yeah, right.
these are all agile ways of working. It doesn't take like 1 year for them to like develop or anything like that, right? Not a very all happens in a very short
Okay,
span of time. Yeah. So see, these Scrum events, okay. See what typically happens. I'll see. I don't want to be very theoretical, so I'll give you like real life examples. Okay, most of us would have spent most of our lives in meetings. Okay, you have no idea what the meetings are for, but you will be like invited to be a part of most of the meetings for God knows why. Okay, and nothing productive comes out of it. Okay, so something called a Scrum event was introduced for the simple reason that probably these people felt that too much of time gets spent in meetings, and regular intervals is when these meetings have to happen. Okay, that is why something like Scrum event was introduced. And also, the main problem with meetings is that we just talk about things, but we are not very drill down on what we are talking about and what is the takeaway from it. Okay, that is what Scrum calls as inspect something and adapt something. Okay, so let's say we both are having a meeting. Okay, now this meeting is going on. Okay, what are we inspecting about? We are inspecting how Scrum framework works. What are we adapting? We are adapting whatever is there in that. We are learning from it. We're learning new things. Okay, so most of the meetings, what happens is you just speak without an agenda. You keep on speaking, you argue, but you don't conclude in anything. Okay, so Scrum events were basically introduced as a way in which you can create regularity. So at regular intervals, you can inspect what is what, how things are going on, and you will adapt the outcome, like what, how can we go about it. Okay, and there were too many meetings in the waterfall or any regular project ways of working. There were like any traditional model, too many meetings. Everybody was called for everything. So it minimizes the meetings, and also all events are time boxed. So the main reason why every event is time boxed is because you have to respect people's time.
Yeah.
Okay, so every, let's say that you schedule a meeting for 1 hour and you keep on having that meeting. Okay, you and I may not have a lot of work. Okay, but I'm sure that the development team might have a lot of things to do. They might have to code, they might have their personal commitments. So the main thing is that they brought in this concept of time box so that none of the events take more time than a time box time. Like for example, let's say that daily scrum is 15 minutes. Maybe initially you will never stick to that 15 minutes because your team would have just started out. But after a point of time when your team matures, okay, you will get to that 15 minutes. Okay, that respect will be there for each other's time. I will respect your time, you will respect my time. We'll not go beyond the time box. Okay. So that is essentially what it is. Uh, so basically, you have 5 events. Okay, sprint planning, daily scrum, sprint review, and sprint retrospective. Okay, so I are you familiar with these terms?
Yeah. Sprint planning, yes. And I mean, kind of. Daily Scrum, no. I have no idea about the sprint retrospective.
And review, right? No
Yeah.
problem. We'll go through one by one. That is why I have this. That's why I was thinking like this whole week, so that every half a day if you have, I can cover each and every topic because
Okay.
I was not very sure if you're familiar or not. I wanted to start last week itself, but then I was not well, so I couldn't do it. So, see, I'll just take you through this since you're like not very familiar. Okay, so like I already told you, they're all time box events. So every event has a maximum duration. Okay, we respect each other, and I told you right, one of the core Scrum values is respect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, So respecting each other's time is also one way of respecting each other. Okay. So once a sprint begins, its duration is fixed and cannot be lengthened or shortened. Okay. So let's say that you're starting your sprint. Okay. Since you're very new to Scrum, I'm telling you all this. Usually, I just don't go through the Scrum guide or tell it line by line. It gets very
Okay.
boring. But since you are very new, I thought I should tell you all this so that you understand what it is all about. So, see, what basically is that once you start everything, once you start this, okay, it cannot keep changing. See, let's say that you and your team has have decided that you need like a 2 or 3 week sprint. Okay, so let's say that for hypothetically you are saying that let's start with a 1 month sprint because you're a new team. Okay, you have taken like maybe 5 6 tasks in your sprint backlog. You have started coding or you have started working towards those tasks. At the end of the third week, you realize that nothing has happened. No work has progressed. Okay, you can't suddenly come and say that, hey, you know what, 1 month is not enough. We will extend it further by 2 weeks. So whether you finish the work or not, a sprint, if you have said that it is going to be there for 1 month, if you have decided that it's going to be there for 3 weeks, it is going to be there. So if your sprint one is for 3 weeks, irrespective of whether you finish the task or not, that sprint one will get over. Then you will go to sprint two. You understand what I'm saying? If you have not finished the work, then you will again take it to the next sprint.
Right.
Okay. But it will not wait for you to finish. So what will happen is that let's say that 3 weeks you didn't finish any work. You'll again place it back into the product backlog. Okay. As a team, you will discuss why you were not able to finish this work. Do you need further time for it? You will probably take less number of tasks. Let's say maybe like 4 or 5 tasks you were able to you took. None of the tasks you were able to finish. So you will put all of it in product backlog, and you will just say only 2 tasks. Say that you know what, let us finish these 2 tasks for sure. Okay. Then if we finish these 2 tasks, probably by let's say second week or something like that, let us take one more task and do it. Let us not take all lot of tasks and not complete any of them. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, Maitri.
Yeah. So this is what happens, and usually, uh, yeah, I told you right. Other than the sprint itself, every event is an opportunity to adapt, inspect, and adapt something. So when we go through each and everything, like uh, what is sprint planning, daily scrum, sprint review, retrospective, I'll tell you what we inspect and what we adapt. Okay. So failure to include any of these events results in reduced transparency and is a lost opportunity to inspect and adapt. This might sound very theoretical to you, okay? But once we finish this coursework, I'll give you 100 examples where if you don't do these events properly, okay, you will lose an opportunity to inspect and adapt. I'll give you so many examples in real life scenario, including in my own Scrum teams, where this has happened.
Okay.
So we will revisit this. You can even probably note it down. Okay, we can revisit this once we have finished everything, and once probably I'll just give you like 1 or 2 samples where I struggled or something like that. I'll tell you when these events didn't happen properly, what is the end result that I got when I was a Scrum Master at the beginning. When I started my journey as a Scrum Master, what are the issues that I faced? Okay,
Okay.
yeah. So the sprint is sprint is basically the heart of the Scrum. Okay, that around the sprint is what everything happens. So I'll just show you this diagram. Okay. All these references I took from scrum.org. So when I share these presentations with you, I'll just also give you the link where I took it from or which website so that you can go and revisit it. Okay.
Yeah.
So you have a big product backlog. Okay. With the order, priority, everything. Okay. So what essentially happens in your sprint planning is two things. Okay. There'll be a product owner. Okay. Let's say that I am the product owner. Okay.
Okay.
I'm saying, I'm coming and saying, hey guys, this, okay, let's see that money is a part of the development team. Let's say that you are also a part of the development team. I'm the scrum master, I'm facilitating the conversation in the sprint planning. Okay. So the product owner comes and says, hey guys, this sprint, our business objective is to implement Amazon Pay. Okay. So there are tasks in the product backlog for that. Okay. So there are two ways. Okay. You have to decide what are the tasks that you're going to take up. Fine. And you have to decide how you're going to do it. Correct. Because until you know what you're going to do and how you're going to do, you will not be able to release the product or you will not be able to get an outcome, right? If you have no clue about what you're going to do and how you're going to do in anything for that matter, you'll not know the end result, right?
Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
product
Right.
owner will come up with a vision saying that, hey, I want to implement Amazon Pay. Okay. So the team will go together. They'll say that, hey, you know what product? No, let's say not Amazon Pay. Let's say that payment gateway. Okay. So the product owner will say, let us do payment gateway this sprint. So let's say that the development team will say, hey, product owner, we cannot implement the entire payment gateway in just one sprint. 3 weeks is too short of a duration to implement the entire payment gateway because you need too many things. You're asking for Apple Pay, you're asking for Google Pay, you're asking for using credit card, debit card. You're asking so many options. We cannot do all this in one sprint. Okay. So the product owner say, hey, it's okay. What do you guys think that you can do? Hello?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, my team is.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I read like my screen. I think my internet was a little unstable, so I just wanted to check
Oh,
if
okay.
it was. Yeah. So the product owner says, okay, what do you think that we can do as a team? Okay. So both the product owner says this is very critical, guys. So you guys have to tell me what is it that we can do. So the product owner, the development team together come up to a consensus saying that, hey, you know what, product owner, we will do payment using credit card and payment using Apple Pay this sprint. Okay.
Okay.
So they're all in a consensus and they meet a middle ground. This is how your sprint goal gets set. Okay. Now you have figured out what part, right? What they are going to do. Okay.
Yeah.
They have crafted the sprint goal together as a team. Okay. The product owner will always come up only with a business objective saying this is what the stakeholders are asking. This is what the investors are like the stakeholders okay, usually. So she'll say that, hey, you know what? I saw this amazing product by the competitor. I also want to implement something like this, very innovative. So they will come up with ideas like that. But together as a team, you will be the one who will figure out what you will do that current sprint. So that is how you craft a sprint goal. Okay,
Okay. Okay.
because even though we are working in a very agile mindset, very flexible, very adaptable to changes, unless you one of the again the Scrum values is focus, right? So unless you have that focus to do a specific thing, you how will you do it? I mean, if you don't have a direction to do it, or one when you don't have a specific way or specific direction for them to do it, it'll be very difficult for them to achieve something, right? So that is the reason why a sprint goal is getting crafted. Is it clear till now?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. So the first part, what would have gotten figured out. So that, as with the product owner along with the development team will do it, the scrum master will facilitate the conversation. Okay. So if there is a problem where like both of them don't meet a middle ground after one point of time, a scrum master will pitch in and say, see, in a lot of real life scenarios, it happens where the product owner and the development team will not immediately agree. Okay. So we are speaking in a very purist or like in a way where everything is in a very happy path. But there could be like very difficult scenarios where the product owner will say, no, no, I definitely want this. The Scrum team will, the development team will say this is absolutely not doable. Okay, how can we implement? You're asking so many things. Even if we sit in office on weekends, we will not be able to finish so much of work. You understand what I'm saying? So these are the places where the Scrum Master will pitch in and kind of mellow down everyone in the room, kind of make sure that everybody comes in alignment and comes to a consensus. So these are things that will come over practice when you do a lot of things. Okay. Like you will say, hey, product owner, it looks like this the development team will not be able to do it. Do you think that you can help them in some way where they need not do everything, because you want something to go right? What if there is a situation where none of the features get developed? So what do you think is the most critical of the lot? Can you please order it that way? And then you will go and tell the development team, hey, development team, do you think that the product owner says that this is very critical? Do you think that you can just take one more and just see if you can additionally finish that? So you know that negotiation tactics,
Yeah.
making everyone get into that collaboration mode, it takes a lot of time and it comes over practice. And seeing, and if you burn your fingers badly, you will learn a lot. Okay. So now that we have figured out what they are going to do, the next will be how part. So they have a task in mind. Now they have to kind of figure out what they need. How are they going to implement it? So as a team, they will figure out that they'll explain to the product owner and the scrum master saying that, hey, we are planning to take all these product backlog items from the product backlog and move it into the sprint backlog, so that we do all these things. And if we implement all these things, we will we will be able to produce an increment. I'll tell you what an increment is later. For now, you can just think of it as something that is a completed work. Okay, completed, tested, and something that can be used. Like if you download that app and use it, that part of the page should be working. So any completed work is called an increment. I'll explain later so as to what an increment is. So this is what typically happens and how it is going to be done and stuff like that. This is what typically happens in a sprint planning. So the thing is that you will not. So I'll also tell you what is the definition of that later. Okay. Uh, so a definition of done, to put it in a very layman term, have you heard of quality checklist?
No.
So
No.
quality checklist is
Maybe
something like,
the checklist and mark it checked once
I'm
it is
sorry,
done.
so yeah, you can take it something like that. So let's say that a code is, somebody writes a code, right?
Yeah.
So somebody will review it, right?
Okay.
So if somebody writes a code, okay, somebody else will review it, right? Some senior will review it, say that, your code looks fine, your code is according to the industry standard, stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Have
Okay.
you? Yeah. You. So you told me, don't you maintain any checklist in your office for anything? Some kind of a quality checklist, don't you maintain?
Not at this company.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, you have to just hypothetically assume that any checklist, like you said, whatever is done, okay, whether testing is done, it is working as expected. So
Yeah.
that is called definition of done. Some quality checklist. Okay. So how do you so like let's say that you have a sprint goal. Okay. What work are you going to take? What can be a sprint goal? So the development team's velocity and capacity. Okay. Let's say that the team decides that uh, so there are 4 or 5 people in the team. Okay, one person is going on leave. Okay, there are only 4 people who are there. Okay, so usually let's say that you do this so and so amount of work when 5 of you are there. It cannot be the same way when one person is missing in action, right? Like one person is not going to be available for the sprint. Okay, you cannot. Of course, you have to take him out, right? Like let's say there are 5 tasks. Usually, each person does one task.
Yes.
Okay, if one person is on leave, you cannot be sure that that one person's task these 4 people will divide it by between themselves, right? Which is
Right.
not a mandate. So based on the development team's past performance, okay, how well they have done, how many tasks they were able to finish in the past, that is called velocity. Capacity is their availability, how many days will they be available. Okay, the product backlog, you know what a product backlog is, right? How it is ordered and
Right.
stuff like that. The retrospective, I will tell you when we go to the sprint retrospective. Okay. So these are the things that you have as an input to decide what you are going to get into the sprint. Okay, and what you are going to assign as a sprint goal. Okay, you might be thinking sprint goal is a business objective. Okay, why does the development team's velocity and capacity have to do with it? Okay, what does a quality checklist has to do with it? Okay, so a business objective doesn't end there, right? Like a payment gateway implementation doesn't end there. The development team should be able enough to do so much of work. Like if they have multiple payment base, like Apple Pay, credit card, then maybe even Amazon Pay or Google Pay, whatever. The team should have the capacity and the ability to do it. Okay, that
Right.
is the first thing. So you cannot just say that, hey, I have a business objective. So this all these things should be done in this sprint itself. Let us set it as a sprint goal. It cannot happen that way. It has to be something realistic. Let's say that you have very junior developers in your team. They cannot code as fast as other people can because they have just so new. Okay, so there are so many things that you have to consider, right? You can't just set a sprint goal just like that without considering all these parameters. So these are the parameters with which you actually set your sprint goal. Once you do that, the development team will decide, okay, how much of work they can take and what things are they going to take from the product backlog and put it into the sprint backlog. Okay, so
Okay.
let's say that I'm a development team member. I have only decided that uh, this time that only this and this work can be done. Okay, but then I finish the work early. Okay, I want to add more work. So I can always add more work. I can take it from the product backlog and get it into the sprint backlog. So let's say that the development team was like super fast. They have finished both Apple Pay and credit card already. 2 weeks of sprint is done. They have 1 week left and they have a lot of time left and they have no work. They can feel free to pull one maybe another payment gateway from the product backlog, fit it into the sprint backlog, and they can start working on it. They can't do some other work because that is not their sprint goal. For example, they can't be doing something like login, or they can't be doing some barcode reading work, or maybe even Alexa work or something like that, because that their sprint goal is already been set. So within that scope of the sprint goal, they can take any work and do it.
Yeah.
Get what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is what sprint planning is all about. Okay, we are already. Is it okay if I take another 5 minutes? I know that we are already overlapping.
Yeah, yeah, sure, mate. Go ahead.
Yeah. So yeah, the canceling the sprint, I'll finish all this and then tell you what is canceling a sprint. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense.
Okay.
So, see, the work to be performed is like planned in the sprint planning. I told you, right? This is the collaborative effort of the entire Scrum team. So, the main thing is the sprint planning is time box to maximum of 8 hours for 1 month sprint. Okay. For shorter sprints, the event is usually shorter. Okay, but it's not a mandate. Okay, you can have a 2 week sprint and still have 8 hours of planning. There's no hard and fast rule. That there are a lot of idiots who will tell you that if it is 1 month sprint, it is 8 hours. If it is a 2 week sprint, the planning has to be 4 hours. There is nothing like divided by ratio or any kind of proportion. Okay, the maximum is 8 hours. Okay,
What do you
for
mean, like 1 month sprint, 8 hours? That means, uh,
so if there is 1 month sprint,
okay,
okay, you can take 8 hours to plan everything. Like
okay,
what is your
oh,
sprint goal? What is your business objective? You can kind of come up with what you're going to what are the functionality that you're going to implement in the sprint. Okay, then the development team will say that, hey, you know what, these are the tasks that we are planning to do as a part of this sprint. Understand what I'm saying?
okay, yeah, yeah,
So, so for that, usually the maximum time is 8 hours. Okay, and it can change. I mean, it need not be 8 hours. It could be less than that, but it cannot be more than 8 hours.
okay,
It is that is why it is time box to 8 hours. Okay, but for shorter sprints, like you take 2 weeks. Okay, if the work is so complicated, you can still have it at 8 hours. But logically, when you're planning for 2 weeks, obviously the time will come down, right?
right,
When you plan for a month,
yeah,
there's so much planning to do.
yeah,
Okay, but when you so it can even get over in 2 hours or 3 hours. Okay, so that is thing. So the main the the main people are the Scrum team, that is the product owner, the Scrum master, and the development team. Okay, so Scrum master teaches the Scrum team to keep the planning within the time box. Okay, then let's say that the product owner and the development team keep on arguing. Okay, okay. Seriously, it can happen in cases where you have 8 hours of planning. Okay, they both will keep on arguing. The product owner will be very stubborn, say that no, 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 I want this done. I want them. I definitely want all the payment gateway to be done in 1 month itself. The development team will say, no, 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 we don't have such skilled people to do it with 1 month. We need a lot more of time. Okay. So the argument will go on and on. It will go beyond 8 hours. Okay. 2 days, 3 days, it will go on. Still, no purpose will be solved. Okay. As a Scrum Master, it is your duty to ensure that the teams are very collaborative to ensure that they come to consensus within the necessary time frame. If it is 8 hours, let's say that so there are cases where we decided that we will I had a 3 week sprint. So for me to have a 8 hour duration didn't make sense. So we had this planning meeting. We started, and for 1 hour, the product owner and the development team kept on arguing. Product
Okay.
owner said, "No, no, no, I definitely want this." So I stepped in and I said, "Guys, please hold on. I understand that you both have your concerns. I understand that the product owner has her own objectives, and there are some critical things that needs to go to production soon. I understand that the development team has its own concerns, but if we keep, I mean, but we have to come to a middle ground. Okay, we can't keep going on and on without any solution. Okay, I asked the product owner, what is the solution that you propose? Do you think that uh, do you think that you will be able to cut some slack or cut some leverage for the development team? I asked the development team, do you think that you can extend a little and help out the product owner here? And they arrived at a consensus. So when you have a room with people all arguing all the time and it goes out of hand, you should, as a scrum master, you should have the ability to step in and tell them that, hey guys, this is enough, this is going on, nothing is happening. This is
Yeah.
how you solve conflicts. So that is why it is time boxed, because we can go on for days and still conclude at nothing. So yeah, like I told you, what can be delivered in the increment resulting from that. So what is it that you can produce at the end of one sprint? What work version can you produce, and how will the work be done? So I already told you what can be done will be forecasted by the development team. They'll say that this is what it is and stuff. Product owner will say that this is the business objective that is there, and you have to. I need these product backlog items. Okay, so they will do all this. They will say that, hey, we need so and so. We have dependencies with this team. We need this specialist. Everything they will identify during this. Okay. So, like I already told you, the input will be the product backlog, the latest product, the capacity and the past performance of the team, and then the number of items. So the product backlog. See, the product owner will say it is this, 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 okay, but it is up to the team to pick up what they want. The product owner cannot force the development team saying that you guys have to do it definitely. Okay, they cannot actually force.
Yeah.
Okay, it's ultimately up to the team. Okay, so they absolutely cannot do it. Okay, so that is the thing. And also during the sprint planning, I told you, right, they create a sprint goal. So that is an objective that will be met during the course of the sprint. Okay. Yeah, and it will provide guidance to the development team on why it is building the increment. So if you don't have guidance on what you're supposed to do, you'll be all over the place, right? You have to kind of know what you're supposed to do. Let's say that I don't have a sprint goal. My product owner comes and says, I have to create a payment gateway. Okay, a payment gateway can be with so many things. Can be with one vendor, can be without Amazon, Apple Pay. So it can be done in any rubbish way. Okay. So unless you have some direction, which will tell the development team, hey, you know what, I need the payment gateway with so and so. How will they know? So they need some direction to work on things, right?
Yeah.
They can't be randomly coding some nonsense, right? So that
Right.
is the reason. Huh? Sorry.
Yeah, no, I was just saying that. I mean, without having a goal, they cannot just write some rubbish. So that's what I think.
Yeah, got that. So it doesn't make sense, right?
Yeah.
So that is one thing. So how will the how will the work get chosen? Okay, so it is based on whatever they want from the product backlog, and they're moving it to the sprint backlog. Okay, so the work will get done accordingly. Okay, so they will say that the team will decide that, hey, you know what, this is the way in which the product backlog. I mean, I've selected that this is the sprint goal, and I'm going to pick these items and I'm going to move it from the product backlog and into the sprint backlog. So if I do these set of work from the product backlog, I'll be able to achieve my goal for the sprint. So that is what the development team will do. And like I told you, they don't have to know everything. Okay, they can just pick a few tasks, and later on they can always increase or decrease the number of tasks. Okay, so I the only thing that I feel that you will not understand here is that so the development team self-organizes to take undertake the work. That is fine. Like if there are like four people in the development team, they will decide by themselves like who picks what. They'll be self-organized that way. Okay, the product owner can help to clarify the selected product backlog item. Yeah, so let's say that there is some question around what is selected, and some things are still not very clear. Okay, some things is like still not clear. Then the product owner can actually again explain it to the team. So maybe let's say that you remembered that when they said that now after like 2 3 months, the development team can is not able to recall what is happening. Then obviously the product owner can help them brush up or anything like that. So and also one more thing is that if the development team feels that there is too little work, like they've finished it quickly and they want to take some work, then they can do that. They can pull it into the sprint backlog. And let's say that the development team is not very matured, and they were very enthusiastic and took a lot of tasks, and they found out that it is a lot for them. They can go back to the product owner and say, we forecasted wrongly. We thought that we can do all this, but it looks like we will not be able to. So is it okay that we just do Amazon Pay and Apple Pay implementation this sprint? Can we take the credit card implementation next sprint? I don't think we will be able to finish it. So they can renegotiate that. Get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it is very flexible. You ask me agile, right? So it is very,
Mm-hmm.
very flexible these ways. Okay. So these are the ways in which you produce the product very fast. Okay, it is very, very agile and very adaptable. Also, it ensures that the team or nobody gets overworked, or when it is done very effectively. It is all done in a very right and the manner in which it is done, the time frame, everything is very neat. Instead of
Yeah.
letting people like go on and on and on and on with this, it is done in that way. So I would suggest that you just read through this. The
Okay.
reason why I am just stopping with one topic is it's, as you know, it is already a little overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
just go through this. Just go through the sprint and the sprint planning. Once you kind of once we will regroup the same time, or like even at 9:30 tomorrow, so at 10 a.m. your time, and we
Okay.
can I will you can come up with a lot of questions. Okay.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
we'll probably keep it like we can keep it 45 minutes. The first 15 minutes will be like whatever questions you have,
Okay.
10 15 minutes. Then the half an hour we can always go ahead and do do our sessions. So we will
Okay,
try
sure.
to. Yeah, tomorrow is like after the planning is daily scrum. So I don't think you'll have a lot of questions.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it is a very critical thing, but
Hmm.
fairly it is easier.
Yeah. I'll go through the guide, and I'll also go through the video once again. And if I have any questions, I'll ask you tomorrow.
Yes, I'm sure you will have a lot of questions when it comes to sprint planning.
Yeah.
All right, thank you so much. Hope you
And
found this useful.
and we're having class tomorrow, right?
Sorry?
We're
Yeah,
having
yeah, yeah.
class.
We will have the whole week.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, every day 45 minutes.
Okay. Thank you, Mitch.
All right. Thank you. I
Okay.
hope you found this useful. Thank you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank
Bye
you.
bye.
Have a good day.
You too.